July 3rd, 2025. Congress trying to pass the big, beautiful bill. Capitol Hill. The big, beautiful bill. It all rhymes, right? Capitol Hill, the big, beautiful bill. Remember electric company? If I was a bill, well, if I was a bill,
It's hard finding your name because there's a stupid band that's saying the same thing.
is my name?
There's a few people with the same name. Oh, found it.
Well, click on it so I can see it. Not showing nothing.
There we go. Give it a minute here. There it goes. You see me yet?
Nope. Not registering anything.
So you gotta find
Yeah, that's one now. Yeah.
You gotta find yourself. Or you're from.
You can like it, right?
Yeah, look yourself up. Oh, you have to show this to people.
Oh, I got a like. Awesome. We're looking at live.
That's what I do. I just looked up Ratchet Train. I finally found you.
I need to change the name, I guess. How far did you have to go down?
I went down a little while.
I passed a lot of tools.
Good. There's a second.
Some guy smoking on a wrench.
There's a second life. Did you like your own video?
No, I didn't. Well, let's talk some politics of Capitol Hill and July 3rd now at 1 in the morning, pretty close. And I don't know if Congress is still trying to pass the big, beautiful bill, but if they aren't, they need to be. Because you people need the tax breaks.
Because you
You need the tax breaks with this. It's a mandatory referendum from the American people with the vote of Donald Trump as president. He's just fulfilling promises. Promises after promises he keeps filling. Unlike the last president who was vacationing on the beach in Delaware, of all places. To vacation. Get my phone. So, am I the number two? Am I the number two? Am I the number two? But anyway, or where? If I was the president of the United States, do you think I'd be laying in the beach at Delaware when I could just go to Florida? Or, anywhere. I'm not even sure that. Well, let's get off the point of. Let's talk about Ukraine. And the point is, I'm so glad we're not giving them no more money to Ukraine, because this is, to me, has been just a joke of the amount of money that's been spent there. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I guarantee you, Putin knows that Ukraine doesn't have a chance to win that war. No matter how depleted the media says Russia is, it's just really not the case. If Putin wanted to go full arsenal on Ukraine, it would have been over a long time ago. Now, President Trump tried to negotiate with both these countries, and it just didn't do any good. I mean, how much can one man do as far as running his tongue? And how far do the American tax people, payers, have to go to keep funding this war, this proxy war that doesn't even involve them? Because if you think for 1 minute that Russia's ever going to invade the United States, that's the biggest farce that's ever been given in the last 20 years. That's never going to happen. Putin wouldn't stand one chance of invading this country and never would attempt it. But he knows he has great big nuclear weapons. And no amount of what anybody says is going to stop him from doing what he wants to do in his own area. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't matter if every country that belongs to NATO gets involved in it. He doesn't care because it's not. They're not going to stop it. There's no stop to that, and it just the way that's just life right now for reality, and that's just the way it is. That's the cold hard truth. For us to spend as a country billions of dollars to support this effort is a losing cause when we have other millions of needs in this country alone that has never been addressed.
You got a comment that says, what's to stop Russia?
There's nothing's going to stop Russia. I mean, what you just think about it. What's it going to take to stop Russia? A full-grown ground attack on their homeland? And you don't think Putin is going to set off his arsenal of nuclear weapons if that happens? Well, then you're crazy if you don't think he would do that, because he would. And that country would, and that government would. That's the cold, hard truth. It should have never started because Ukraine got pushed into that from the Biden administration and all that ignorance of 4 failed years of that. If they just would have come out and said initially they weren't going to join NATO, this would have never happened. Now Putin's realized that he can just take over the whole area. And nothing we can do or any other NATO country is going to do to stop it. And if you think they are, then you're just living in a fantasy land. And that's a fact. And that's just the way it works in real life. I mean, people don't want to hear that, and people don't want to accept that, but that's the truth. You think Vladimir Putin cares what we think? No. He doesn't care what the President Trump thinks. Zelensky was in over his head from the get-go on this, and Biden pushed him into it. And it doesn't have anything to do with what happened 4 years ago or 6 years ago with some invasion from Russia into some nondescript section over there in Ukraine. All of a sudden that rage built up and this just had to start. That's not the case. That's just not the way it works. Vladimir Putin doesn't want war, but he also doesn't want to feel like his borders getting invaded, just like we don't. And that's a sad deal, but that's just the way it is. I mean, Joe Biden and that failed administration promised a lot of things that were in fantasy land. Like at one point, giving every college graduate free tuition. They didn't have to pay back. That would have cost American taxpayers billions of dollars over time. And the sad part is these kids that had these degrees 4 to 6 to 7 to 8 years bought into it. If you can believe that, but they did. And you, in anybody's right mind, how is the average American taxpayer trying just to get by from day to day responsible for some kid that's been to college for the last 5 years, partying up and drinking keg beer and getting a degree in philosophy? If that makes any sense. I'm back down to 2 years.
Maybe down to one. You lost?
I lost another viewer.
Maybe you're not on anymore?
So I had another viewer besides us two.
Yeah. They tried to show me that you weren't listening.
But I can't get echoes. Like I'm still getting.
But yeah, we had another viewer. I was trying to start with in the comments.
Just stay on my phone because it just echoes.
I'm not talking about your phone.
Oh.
So you could stop being an asshole now.
I see the comments.
That's all I'm trying to do, but I'm not talking to you anymore.
Why am I not getting any more viewers? Is what I say make any sense?
It was only that first thing I was doing like that for the second time today.
So on Capitol Hill, this Trump bill needs to get passed. if anything, for the tax cuts. But a little bit from the Dems trying to throw in subsidies on windmills, which have you ever, anybody ever here seen a windmill, how big they are and how much oil they take to run? It's always been ironic to me, all these pro, green New Deal people want to see windmills, but they have no idea how they run. They cost a fortune to run in oil. And if they don't have it, they're not going to run. And if one of those blades breaks, it's disastrous to wherever they are. And I seen some of those when I was going through Illinois earlier this year. Right in the middle of fields. And I know these farmers lost a lot of ground having these windmills put in their fields. But if you pull over the side of the interstate and walked up to the fence line, you can hear them. They are loud running every day. And I don't know how they stand it. I mean, it'd be like listening to a washing machine taped to the side of your head every day. That's how big they are. And that's how loud they are. And people just don't realize that. I mean, it's never going to be a solution to energy windmills. It just isn't going to, we don't have the technology for it. I mean, we don't even have remotely the technology to make windmills sufficient. And they just suck money through gas to make oil. And they take a huge amount of oil on a yearly basis just to operate. And it's ironic that the people that are pushing these windmills never say that. But that's a fact. I just don't understand that. Because they don't want you to know that. Windmills are a joke. They're like those little pinwheels you buy at Dollar General, you stick in your garden. That's what they're like. And they're not worth any more than that. One of those doesn't put enough energy in a year to even pay for the oil that it takes to run them. It's just part of the bureaucratic process. The Democrats want a way to fund money to some program. They say it's going to reduce energy. But the money never goes there. It goes to some, well, I don't know where it goes. Do you? Because it doesn't go to any programs to reduce energy. If that was the case, energy would have been reduced 20 years ago. It's all a farce. They have to have programs that they can convince the people that are good, so the money can go somewhere, and then it doesn't go anywhere but to the people they want it to go to. That's the way it works. If you people in Illinois think these windmills are doing you any good, you're out of your mind. They don't produce enough energy to power anything. And all the money getting spent on them year after year after year to maintain them. A 50-gallon barrel of oil a year on one windmill. And those windmills are supposed to be cost efficient? Not even close. That's just a farce. Just another way to convince you people that are so in on alternative energy, which there's no such thing. It costs more money to maintain those windmills than the energy they produce. And that's a fact. And that's bad. What we're doing now is working. We have more oil underneath our feet that needs to be drilled to produce clean energy. The Biden administration shut that off for 4 years, made it virtually impossible to have any oil coming in. He drained the National Oil Reserve just to lower prices during election time. And now that's got to be built back up too. I mean, that's a fact. All that money that was built up, wasted. Because they quit granting land grants and didn't allow any drilling, any offshore or inland, all across the United States. They hamstrung all those people, cost thousands and thousands of jobs across the United States, multi-thousands. And that's a fact. And it's just now getting caught up, and it takes a long time. A long time to catch that up. I mean, he drained it to the point it was dip drain. And then it only hurt us as American consumers, but it hurt us in military wise. Because you can't run a military without fuel. And we was the point where we didn't have any. And that's a fact. They know it. It should have never been a loan. You can't run a military on windmills. And you sure as hell ain't going to run them on electric batteries. It's never going to happen. Anyway, I'm drinking Bud Light Platinum made for the night beer because it was buy one, get one free 12-pack. Normally, I drink Miller Lite, and these are 6% alcohol. They're a little stronger. Not that they're better. I'd rather have Miller Lite, but I wish I just would have got a case of the Miller Lite for $23. 3. But 2 12s of this a case was $17.99. That's the way it happened. It is a lot of oil, Tabby. It is a lot of oil. Toronto windmill. And people don't even know that. But it is. The windmill idea was one of the worst things, the worst concepts of trying to make alternative energy that ever was. Unless you're just trying to power up a well outside your farm, you're losing money. That's a fact. Anybody, there's no way in God's name you're going to power a whole city off of windmills. Never going to happen. For one thing, you have to have battery sources to recharge. There would have to be so many freaking acres of batteries that you couldn't even drive around them. It would take all day. The whole concept is a joke. We don't have the technology for it. And we probably never will in our lifetimes. So that's all I got to say about Capitol Hill and passing the big, beautiful Trump bill. I want to talk about Joe Biden promising to erase all student loan debts at the time, and everybody bought into it. That is a liberal and a Democrat did. And they were madder than a son of a bitch when they found out it was never going to happen. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense if you got a 4 or 5 year, 6 year degree. And some guy that's been in politics for 50 years and hasn't done nothing comes out of the blue and tells you he's going to pardon all your student loans, and you fall for it, like, giving a Tootsie Roll to a baby. It doesn't make any sense. So, if you're one of those that graduated with your PE degree after 5 years and did a lot of drinking and partying, and all of a sudden Joe Biden comes out of the blue and says, we're going to pay off your bill for you, and it never happened. So I know that really cramped your style there. You thought you was going to get out of 4 or 5, 6 years of partying it up and getting your degree in PE or sociology or psychology or whatever you got it in. And you thought everything was going to be okay. So that really cramped your style when you found out that was just another lie to get a vote. Imagine that. Just doesn't make any sense, does it? So that's why I can understand why you people that are supposed to be so educated could vote for such a moron. I mean, I obviously think that most Democrats would probably vote for SpongeBob SquarePants just to not vote for something that's right. That's what I believe. So that's my issue on the student loan forgiveness, which is never going to happen. Not anymore, thank God. But I was shocked at the amount of people that bought into that garbage to try to get a vote. I mean, those people promise anything to get a vote. I mean, they sell their own mother to get a vote. That's a fact. I mean, that's just a fact. There's no morals when it comes to getting a vote. Obviously. With President Trump being pretty much crucified to the point where anybody else would have just broke down and lost it. That's what went on. That was real, and that's reality of what happened. Are the most bogus charges that's ever been coerced in the United States history. I mean, and anybody that says any different is a liar, or tries to coerce it any different is a liar. It was just ridiculousness to try to win votes, to try to stay in power illegally. I mean, those those people know no boundaries when it comes to trying to stay in power. And that's just a fact. The last 4 years under Biden was a disgraceful disaster, is all it was. From Afghanistan to the mask to COVID to the whole ball of wax. Everything was scripted and shit. And the truth will eventually come out of who's actually pulling the punches, because the president at the time couldn't even get up and eat a bowl of Captain Crunch. Everybody knows it. That's a fact. And to run a charade as long as it went on is remarkable. Through mainstream media and these news outlets and shows on TV, and all fed into the lie. And they all know they did. Just to stay in power. Just to prove that they had everything under control. When the truth is nothing was under control. We was in peril the whole time of an open border for 4 years, which is going to end up decimating this country unless they're all taken out. Chinese nationalists. I mean, you could go on and on. Coming in this country unvetted. That's just asinine. They know it, and they didn't care. They were trying to change the voter narrative from state to state. And it didn't matter if this country went to shit in a handbasket, but they'd still be in power. And all you people would be lost in a luster of garbage. And that's the way it would be. I mean, if Donald Trump wouldn't have won this election, who I voted for, undoubtedly I voted for him. If he wouldn't have won this election, it's hard telling what would be going on in this country right now. You can't even probably imagine. I don't even want to imagine it. I've seen the results of socialism in my lifetime. And I live in the United States. All I got to do is look at California and how bad that state has gotten. Because anybody who says any different is a liar, or doesn't have to deal with it, or just go to their gated community and don't see anything. That state is a dumpster fire. It's lost its appeal. It's unaffordable. By a long shot, it's unaffordable. Anybody with any money is done left. There's nothing there anymore. Areas of broken down tents and garbage and needles laying everywhere. That's it. And it's all over that state. And anybody that disagrees is a liar. It's pitiful. And I can't believe people. Well, I can believe it because you get stuck in one area, you don't have the money to leave. That's why the 80% of the whole population hasn't left. Because if they had the money, they already would have. If it was all millionaires in that state, they'd all been gone. There'd be like 10 people there. But you elect people like Gavin Newsom or mayors like, you know, it's a losing process because those people don't care less about you. or anybody else in that state. Gavin Newsom has to go, who should have been fired after the wildfires, thinking he's going to run for president. That's hypocrisy there. After he's ran LA down to the ground, he wants to run for president. And there'll be people that'll vote for him. I just don't get it. He should have been expelled after the forest fires. But he'll run for governor or president, and he'll get votes from all kinds of people in California. Unbelievably, but he will. Just like the mayor in Bass in LA. You never learn. Never learn. I just don't understand it. Anyway, we're drinking Beaujolais Platinum. Buy one, get one in Publix today. And we're talking about Trump's big, beautiful bill and how they're working on Capitol Hill to get this passed. And they're going to get this passed.